Ah, the Roman Empire. Just utter those words in a room full of men and watch their eyes light up like a legionary spotting a barbarian sausage cart after a long day of conquering Gaul. It's a curious phenomenon, this male infatuation with a civilization long gone. You'd think they'd be more interested in, I don't know, the latest smartphone or something. But no, give them gladiators, emperors, and enough marble to make Michelangelo blush, and they're transported back to their schoolboy fantasies. All togas and no trousers, of course. Perhaps it's the sheer scale of it all. An empire that spanned from the misty isles of Britannia to the scorching sands of Syria. It's enough to make even the most jaded modern man feel a tad insignificant. Or maybe it's the characters larger-than-life figures like Julius Caesar, Augustus, and Caligula, who make even the most egotistical CEO look like a shrinking violet. Whatever the reason, there's no denying the Roman Empire still holds a powerful sway over the male imagination. So, what exactly was the Roman Empire? Well, in a nutshell, it was the original from zero to hero story. Imagine a bunch of scrappy farmers in central Italy minding their own business, occasionally squabbling over who stole whose sheep. Suddenly, they find themselves masters of a vast empire, with more wine, gold, and slaves than they could shake a stick at. It's the kind of plotline that would make even Hollywood executives raise an eyebrow. And like all good tales, it had its fair share of drama. We're talking backstabbing senators, power-hungry generals, and emperors with a penchant for the, shall we say, eccentric. Think Game of Thrones, but with better haircuts, most of the time anyway. And a soundtrack provided by chanting legions instead of Ed Sheeran. Where to even begin with the events that shaped this colossal empire? It's like trying to sum up the entirety of Star Wars in a tweet. But fear not, dear viewer, for I shall attempt to condense centuries of conquest, intrigue, and excess into a few short summary highlights. We'll start with the classics naturally. The Punic Wars, Rome's showdown with those Carthaginian party poopers, complete with Hannibal and his elephants crossing the Alps. Talk about a logistical nightmare. Then there's the rise and fall of Julius Caesar, the original Veni Vidi Vici guy, who went from conquering Gaul to conquering the hearts of Roman women, and quite a few men, if the rumors are to be believed, only to be betrayed by his best mate on the Ides of March. Ouch! And let's not forget the emperors. We've got Augustus, the first emperor, who was basically the Beyoncé of his day. Everyone loved him, even if they weren't quite sure how he got so powerful. Then there's Caligula, who made even the most outrageous rock stars look tame with his horse as senator antics. And of course, who could forget Nero, the fiddling emperor, who definitely wouldn't have won any popularity contests, especially with the Christians. But why do all roads lead to obsession? Remember, the Roman Empire wasn't all fun, games, and feeding Christians to lions. They did leave a rather large mark on the world in more ways than one. I mean, have you ever tried building a road? It's not easy. And yet the Romans managed to cobblestone their way across Europe, leaving behind a network so impressive, we're still using some of their routes today. Talk about forward planning. And then there's the law. Yes, those toga-clad chaps were quite keen on law and order. They came up with all sorts of legal concepts that we still use today. So, next time you're signing a contract or suing your neighbor for playing loud music, you can thank or curse the Romans. But what's love got to do with it? Let's unpack all this male fascination with ancient Rome, shall we? So why are men so obsessed with the Roman Empire? Is it the togas, the gladiatorial combat, the impressive aqueducts? Ahem. Well, it's probably a combination of factors. For starters, the Roman Empire represents a time when men were men, allegedly. And women were, well, they were probably too busy weaving and looking decorative to worry about such things. It was a simpler time, when might made right, and the only thing standing between you and a plate of grapes was a particularly surly slave. Of course, this is a highly romanticized view of history. The reality of life in ancient Rome, even for the upper classes, was probably a lot less glamorous and a lot more smelly than most men would care to admit. But hey, who needs historical accuracy when you can have gladiators, right? So, I guess it's understandable why men can't stop thinking about the Roman Empire. I mean, who doesn't? The Roman Empire, much like a fine vintage of, well, Roman wine, continues to age remarkably well. It's a story that has it all: drama, intrigue, betrayal, triumph, and enough togas to clothe a small country. It's a story that continues to fascinate, inspire, and yes, even amuse. And as long as there are men who dream of conquest, glory, and perhaps owning their very own chariot, the Roman Empire will continue to live on, even if only in their imaginations. So, what are your thoughts on this topic? Why are today's men seemingly obsessed with the Roman Empire? And are women also thinking about the Roman Empire?